Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Kokopelli. This is designed by Stefan Feld and it is published by Queen Games.
As you guys know, if you've been watching our channel for any amount of time, we love Stefan Feld games. We're very excited to play this one. This is one that is on the lighter side as far as some of the Feld games can be a little heavy, a little more advanced, right? This one is a lot more accessible. Basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make these ceremonies. You're going to be able to play on your cards, and you'll be able to play on your opponent's stacks as well, trying to finish off their ceremonies. The more ceremonies you complete, and the sooner you complete them, the more points you're going to get. Let me give you a quick overview of how to play. Alright, here is a setup for a 3-player game of Kokopelli. Each player is going to have one of these ceremony boards in front of them. Also, there are 16 of these tiles to choose from. Those are all different ceremonies that we can partake in. What we're going to do is we're going to randomly select 10 of them. If you want, there's actually kind of a pre-set up 10 to choose from for your first time out. And those 10 are the ones that I have out in front of us. So basically what we're going to do is we have a giant deck of cards. We're going to go through it, and we're going to grab the 3 cards that match up to each one of those symbols, along with these Kokopellis, which are the wild cards. After we have all 30 of the cards, plus the 6 Kokopellis, we're going to shuffle our deck, and we are ready to start. To start the game, we're going to draw 5 cards off the top of the deck, and then we're going to place the deck down in the front here. Alright, on your turn, you're going to get 2 actions, and the actions can be either to draw new cards, or to open a ceremony. Opening a ceremony means to play one of the cards from your hand on top of one of these 4 spots. It's the first card that you play opens the ceremony. When you open a ceremony, you also are initiating a special ability. So if I were to open a ceremony with this turtle action here, this particular one says, when you complete a ceremony, you are awarded 1 extra victory point. So while this card's out there, that special ability is in play. The next action is to play a card. Now, if I wanted to play a card, I can play a card on top of a ceremony that's already been opened. So in this case, I've got another one of those guys. I can place it there. Now there's 2 cards there. When you're opening a ceremony, you can only open ceremonies on your own board. However, when you play cards, you can also play cards on the 2 spots to your left and the 2 spots to your right. This game is kind of all about closing ceremonies. You close a ceremony by playing a 4th card to a stack. Once there are 4 identical cards, and again, remember, Kokopellis are wild. Once there are 4 cards in a stack, that ceremony is closed. So even if the green player had 3 cards there and they're almost ready to close it, but on my turn, I play a 4th card onto their section, I get a chance to close it, I get the points. When you close a ceremony, what you do is you take the top victory point tile off of that particular ceremony in the middle of the board. So let's say, for instance, 4 of these turtles have gotten played. What we would do is we would get to take this tile, and we would get to place it in front of us. That's our victory points. And also, this particular one says, when you complete a ceremony, you get 1 extra victory point as well. So we would take an extra victory point tile from over there. Another action you can do on your turn is called canceling a ceremony. So let's say you did have 3 of these turtles out there, and you were afraid that on someone's next turn they were going to be able to close it out. What you can do is you can get rid of those cards and just say, you know what, that ceremony is just not going to happen this turn. The last action you can do is you can take your hand of cards, and you can basically put it at the bottom of your deck and then draw that same number of cards. If you're really hunting for a particular card, that's a great way to do that. There's also a bonus that you get whenever you run out of cards in your hand. You get to draw 3 new cards, and you get to take a 1 victory point token from the supply. Keeping with our turtle example, underneath that number 4 victory point tile, there's a 3 victory point tile. The next time someone closes out a turtle ceremony, they would get that victory point. And then it would be replaced by one of these game end tiles. There's a number 1 on that tile. From here on out, anytime someone closes out a turtle ceremony, they're just going to get 1 victory point from the supply. But also, that purple one's going to stay out there. What's going to happen is that's called the game ends tile. There are 10 ceremonies. There are 9 of those tiles. Once the 9th tile has been placed, the game ends. The game can also end by someone running out of the cards in their deck. Everyone's going to get an equal number of turns. After that, you're going to count up all your points. You're going to count up all the points that you've gotten throughout the game, either by special effects or by closing out ceremonies. Then you're also going to get some points based off of how few cards are left in your deck and open ceremonies. At the end of all that, you're going to count up your points. Whoever has the most points wins the game.
So a lot of this game is being able to play on each other's boards, and it is both super fun and extremely frustrating at the same time. Like, especially when you're working towards something and you really, you know that on the next turn you'll be able to get that point, but somebody else plays it and they get those 4 points before you can get those 4 points, even though you totally were going to get those 4 points. But it's okay, because guess what you're going to do on your turn? You're going to totally mess them up because they messed you up. And it's just really fun. And you need each other's cards, and you need those Kokopellis, right? Because you have to have 4. but you only have 3 of each kind. So, like, you have to have that happening in order to complete any of these, but it's just, so frustrating. And then also, like, really rewarding. You know what it's like? It's like that kid that keeps, like, poking their sibling, right? And then they lash out at you. It's like that whole interaction in a game.
Yeah, I like the combos in this game. As you have cards in front of you, ceremonies have been opened up. Each ceremony has its own special benefits and special rewards and rule-breaking things that it does. So if you can pair up, 3 or 4 ones out there that do cool things, so when you take an action, maybe you can take 2 actions or draw extra cards or play extra plays, extra locations, or whatever the case is. I love trying to find those sweet little combos, but at the same time, they're only active when they're out in front of you. So if someone closes out your ceremony, or even if you close out your own ceremony, that active ability is no longer there. But you can replace it with a whole new thing that's going to do some kind of cool effect for you. So I love kind of trying to find those combos. And again, you have 16 of those different ceremonies. You're only playing with 10 at a time. And so all your different options each time you play are going to be a little bit different, which is a lot of fun.
I also like demolishing those combos. So when you see that somebody's doing something and they're really, like, working it, you just try to stop it down whatever you can. And because of that, this is actually a really interactive game. It has to be an interactive game. Like I mentioned earlier, you only have 3 of each cards, and outside of special abilities, you have to have 4 to close a ceremony. And so you have to have the interaction of these cards. You have to mess with what other people are doing. It's just really interactive that way of watching the board, seeing what's happening on your board, seeing what's happening on their board. You're just paying attention to the whole game.
Yeah, I agree. This is an incredibly interactive game, which is something that I don't always think about Feld as for. It's always think about him as heavier games. You're kind of doing your own thing, trying to build up your engine or whatever it is as best as you can. In this one, you are at each other's throats the whole time. You're in everybody's, are on their sides of the boards, which makes for a whole lot of fun.
I would say that the 2-player version of this game is fine, but it's definitely not something that we would gravitate towards. I prefer the 3 and 4-player version of this game. I just think that's a lot more fun. There's a lot more, it's more fun interacting with 2 different people than just being able to have, like, 2 different boards, I guess. So right. It worked, but I think it was more fun and more enjoyable at the 3 and 4-player count. But overall, this was probably the easiest Feld I've ever played, but even with that, I still can't master it. Like, I still can't master the combos. I still can't win this game. Like, I'm trying, right? I'm trying to get all the bits and trying to go for the ones that still have the major points on them, or try to manipulate the cards in front of me. But even with this being, like, the simplest Feld game I've played, it's still beating me.
Yeah, like I said, mentioned earlier, we love Feld games, and we love that they're thinkier and that they're more, a little more challenging sometimes, and you really have to there's usually got to feed your people mechanic to it, or something like that, where there's some kind of cost to every play you make. This was a departure from normal Feld games, which was still enjoyable because it still had his kind of thinky DNA on it without being another Feld game that's using the same mechanisms that you've seen before. This was kind of just felt fresh, but at the same time, it was very, very light and accessible, so we can play this with our daughters, This is a game that we can play with family, but it's not going to be one of those ones that's going to be, when you think of a Feld game, this is not going to be one of the ones that comes to your mind, but I still think that if you play it, and you're going to enjoy it. Yeah, definitely. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can follow us in all of these places. You guys, thanks for watching, and as always, we will see you next time. Bye. Bye.